time for another Coffee with Kilroy, or what I like to call beverage in a book. Today I'm having some coffee. Man, that's different. And I hope you're having something that you enjoy. For the book, I'm doing Infantry Combat, the Rifle Platoon by John F. Antal. And if you looked at my my most recent Coffee with Kilroy, I covered a similar book by him, Armor Attacks, the Tank Platoon, and he's actually a tank commander, or was a tank trainer, a tank platoon trainer. This Infantry Combat is basically taking some of the same setup that he did for tank platoons, and he's applying it to Infantry Combat, or the Rifle Platoon. So this is an interactive exercise, or kind of a more advanced choose-your-own-adventure type book in small unit tactics and leadership. So what you're going to get in this book is you're going to get the perspective of Rifle Platoon. You know, this book was Armor, came out in '91. This one came out a few years later and deals with, again, Rifle Platoon. And what you get in these books, you're going to get some reference materials, some understanding of what it means to, what is a rifle platoon, how it's made up, what are some of the key aspects of it, how is it organized. Also, you're going to get some information about your enemy combatants, because you're going to be facing off against somebody. And this is a interactive exercise, meaning that you're going to be reading somewhat of a narrative or prose that's going to set up a situation, and then you're going to make decisions based on that situation. And your decision is going to be based partly on your understanding or knowledge of the context or the reference materials that are in here, understanding of what kind of decisions need to be made for the terrain, or the unit organization, or your capabilities or weaknesses of your units. So this is interesting. If you're interested in the tank aspect or a tank platoon, go check out Armor Attacks. This one is again dealing with the rifle. Let me get a sip of coffee here, and look at the back here. This is an interactive work. You are a U.S. Army Second Lieutenant Steve Davis. Your light infantry battalion has been airlifted into the Middle East on short notice, and now your platoon must defend Wadi al-Sari against the superior might of an advancing enemy mechanized force. The stakes are high, the odds are long. Your knowledge and judgment will determine your success. If you are wrong, defeat and death will be maybe your lot. Success will let you savor the sweet taste of victory and live to fight another day. The scenario is highly realistic and is supported by maps, appendices with detailed specifications of the equipment and forces involved. The choices you must make are those that you would face a rifle platoon leader in combat. You must win the respect of your troops, ensure the security of your positions, obtain intelligence of the enemy, and accomplish everything else required to survive and win in hostile environment. Whether you're a serving infantryman or an armchair enthusiast, this is the best crash course in light infantry tactics you will find, short of a rotation through the National Training Center, and you won't have to spend weeks in the field doing it. And he was a trainer at the National Training Center. Again, this came out in the 90s. Let's take a look here at the beginning here. Copyright 95, so that Armor Attacks was 91, so this came out 4 years later. He applied the same kind of concept or format to a rifle platoon. There's going to be acknowledgments, preface, and then it's really going to set you right into the scene. You're going to be reading the situation and starting making decisions. There's appendices, weapons data, role, organization, and key personnel of the light infantry platoon, and then there's a glossary if you get caught up in the alphabet soup of and that's going to be throughout this book. So there's a little bit of a setup here in the preface, and kind of get you ready to go into this, and then you're right into into the scene of battle, right? So you got your map symbols because there's going to be maps throughout this. That's how you're going to be making your decisions. This again, that's going to be kind of your game board somewhat. This is more of a theater of the mind type situation because you're reading and then you're trying to understand visualize what's going on. There's going to be some maps and other charts probably to make some references to, but you've got to play this out based in your head, and it reads somewhat like a novel in that regards, but with decision points. Again, that's much like a choose your own adventure type situation. I'm not going to page through a lot here because I think you might still be able to get these, and you might want to get these, and I don't want to spoil it for you. So again, there's a couple of setups here, and then once you're into this section, you're going to be making a decision relatively quickly here. This section's pretty big, and then there's going to be a decision point at the end of the section that's going to, then you're going to start branching out, whether you go to section 2 or go to a different section. You're going to start branching out from there. Now, the language, this is the military, right? So this is probably not for young kids because, generally he doesn't hold back, and so the language will be what the language is in this, in what you might expect to hear in a battlefield. So let's take a look and see how much gameplay there is here. The tank one had quite a lot of appendices. This one I don't think has as much. So there's all your decisions you're going to be making. So all this is just different sections that you're going to read and then turn to a section, then read and then turn to a section based on that decision. So there's quite a bit there. And then you've got some appendices here. This is light infantry weapons, talking about this, so you have some understanding of that. And then role, organization, and key personnel of a light infantry platoon. So, you need to understand that in order to make your decisions because you're a platoon leader here. Then you also have a glossary to kind of help you get through some of the terminology that's going to be throughout the book. So that's what you get in Infantry Combat, the Rifle Platoon. I thought this fit nicely into this whole series of game books that I've been covering. There's been a more recent influx of those into the our hobby, into the marketplace through Worthington and Lambo, and there's others that are kind of do-it-yourself, print yourself type situations. But there's a lot out there now and a lot to choose from, and this goes back to the 90s. And again, this is a aspect of it, right? Those games that are coming out now, or even like the Minden games, are really war games in a book, right? That there's usually some kind of map or some kind of counters. For the later ones, you're marking in the book itself, but like for the Minden games, and even some of the Lambo games, you can actually make components, pull out the map and or make some counters and actually treat it as a war game with a little bit of do-it-yourself type efforts. This is not in that line. This is more in the line of the choose your own adventure type stuff. We looked at those growing up, and I might cover some more of those over time, but this is more of the choose your own adventure, but with a lot more meat on the bones. There's a lot more understanding of the circumstance and trying to make some decisions based on your knowledge of combat, or being, in this case, a rifle platoon leader. What kind of decisions are you going to be faced with, and understanding the situation and understanding your capabilities, understanding the other side's capabilities, right? So there's a little bit more meat here than just I turned to page 5 and I killed the dragon, right? This is, again, more of trying to, as he said on the back, kind of a crash course in leadership in these kind of situations. So anyway, love to hear your thoughts on if any of you have ever gone through this. This is from 95, so it's been out there. If any of you guys have this or read through it or like it or don't like it, love to hear your thoughts on that and how that fits into this whole genre of war game books that we're experiencing now, kind of a renaissance that we're experiencing now. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I know it's important to you, and I know your time is important to you, so spending any bit of it with me is greatly appreciated. So that's what I have for you today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your beverages, or whatever you're doing or have planned for today. Thanks all. Thanks for watching.